Well, while it was rain-soaked fields and flooded homes we struggled with in Oklahoma, just to our north, weather woes were much more dramatic. Across the border in Kansas, an F5 tornado literally wiped one town off the map, which prompted a group of Oklahoma students into service. Joining me now to tell us more is our Brian Bindley.
Well, Rob, I still remember to cover this story as I was driving up about 4 months after the tornadoes when we put it together. And driving up on Greensburg, from a distance, it looked like you could see some greenery. It looked like a community. I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought they were probably rebuilding. And it wasn't until we pulled in that you saw that everything was still devastated. I mean, this is 4 months after the tornado. The whole town was leveled. Trees were broken off. And it really made my hair stand up because just the day before, we were having all kinds of fun in Warwick digging the trees up. And we never would have thought that a simple act of kindness could reward not only the receiver, but also the giver, with an opportunity to grow and acquire an appreciation for the blessings we take for granted every day. What do you do with a surplus of redbud trees that have overgrown your flower bed? Well, you find a good home for them.
And as I was taking care of the flower beds, saw all these little trees coming up, and I thought, I cannot throw these away.
Pat McGriff from Warwick, Oklahoma is a retired school teacher and volunteers her time to keep the school grounds looking nice.
I just knew that we would find a place for the trees. So I worked around them. They looked pretty shaggy. People were wondering why the flower beds didn't look as good as they usually did. But I never dreamed that the trees would get this big this fast.
And after a little over a year, the trees became the main focus of a community service project for the Warwick FFA.
We heard about a community in Kansas, Greensburg, Kansas, that had got blown away by a tornado last spring. And we thought, what a better way than, instead of throwing these red buds away, give them to Greensburg, Kansas, and to the community up there.
FFA instructor Chris Kidd says the opportunity allows his students to learn something that can't be captured in just any school book.
Something that I'm trying to instill in the members of Warwick FFA is service, and that leadership is action, not just a position, but it's action.
Something FFAers were doing plenty of on this cold, dreary fall afternoon. Sophomore Tanner Eld.
Yeah, we're not doing it for no fame or people look at us and say, oh, they're good people. We're doing it because, well, that's what Warwick FFA does. We help others.
Sophomore Jace Dunn, who worked the majority of the day, is excited about one tree in particular.
Mrs. McGriff braided this tree when it was really young, and we're wanting this tree to go to their school, from our school to their school.
Hoping to make a connection that will last a lifetime as they load up to take a trip that will give some Warwick students a new perspective on how devastating tornadoes can really be. These grain bins behind me were one of the few structures left after the tornado swept through Greensburg, Kansas, leaving literally the entire city in ruins. Now Warwick FFA hopes to bring in new hope and regrowth for a community that is desperately trying to rebuild.
We only have maybe half the population right now.
These 4-Hers met the FFA group when they came to town and gave their accounts of what it is like in Greensburg now. You were saying your house is right over there where that shed is?
Yes.
Were you guys in it?
My mom was the only one home, and she was okay.
Really?
Yep.
It just leveled your house?
Yep. We had the plywood on top of the basement was there, but everything on top of it was gone.
We're still in cold water, but we should be back into our new house in a couple weeks, so it's exciting.
Exciting because only a handful are fortunate to have new houses built, even though it has been 6 months since the tornado swept through Greensburg.
It'll take a while for the town to regrow and for us to get our population back, but you know, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we hope to be recovered and look a lot better than we do now.
Darren Hedrick is the superintendent of the Greensburg Public Schools and says since the tornado, attendance is down by 75%. But because of generous donations like these trees, it takes some of the burden off of the rebuilding process.
And all the donations are nice, and we've had help from all over the country, and obviously this donation from the FFA kids down in Oklahoma is just strengthens what we have going on. I mean, a whole bunch of trees, some flowers, and if you look around, you'll notice that not only were all our homes devastated, and our offices, and our businesses, and our schools, but you know, there's all the trees, all the grass, all the plant life, which is hammered just as well.
The two trees bonded together
mean that with us being together that we'll grow stronger in strength and everything.
And the tree Jace Dunn and Miss McGriff saved for the school immediately created a special bond between the two communities by an act of generosity and a few saplings ready to be planted.
Greensburg, Kansas, and Moringa FFA, growing together!
Shortly after I visited Greensburg, they held a Make a Difference weekend where all the redbuds were handed out. Numerous volunteers came out to help with additional cleanup, and a new park was built on the west side of town.
Well, Brian, it sounds like a community that's really pulling together.
They really are, and the one thing I talked to the extension agent about, she said that weekend they had more people than they expected. It was overwhelming how many people showed up to help clean up, and a lot of work did get done that hadn't gotten done before.
Now, if someone saw this and they want to help our neighbors to the north, what can they do?
They can go contact either the American Red Cross or the Salvation Army. Both have links separate just for Greensburg, Kansas, or they can go direct to their city website, which is www.greensburgks.org.
And we should also note here just the fantastic work that the Eureka FFA chapter did.
I think this really speaks highly of FFA in general. I mean, you take this organization, they could have just thrown away those redbuds and not did anything with them, and yet they went and found a good home for them, an alternative instead of making more out of a situation that could have just been thrown away for trash, and it really did impact. You could tell, especially the students there at Greensburg, to see another school come up and donate these trees.
Yeah, good story, even greater project. Brian, we appreciate you doing it.